The Clipper season has come to an end, losing to the Golden State Warriors in the play-in tournament. And for that reason, I've decided that today we are going to rebuild the Clippers into a team that can truly go out there and contend for a championship. And thankfully, we do have ourselves a young player in Darius Garland that we could build this team around going into the future. If you still had James Harden, you would have been stuck with a 34-year-old Kawhi and a 36-year-old James Harden, but now you have a young player that you could actually build this team around. And now let's go ahead and simulate past the playoffs and see which team goes on to win the championship. Looks like we have Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs taking on Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons, and the Detroit Pistons go on to win. Okay, so Cade Cunningham wins Finals MVP to win the Detroit Pistons a championship. We do have ourselves the Indiana Pacers first round pick, but it is top 4 protected. In the Zubac trade, the Clippers got it, but the Pacers did go on to protect it, and right now it's projected to end up with the second best odds, so let's see where that lands. And sadly, we're going to have to return it back to the Indiana Pacers because it is top 4 protected and it ended up being the second overall pick. That truly does suck. I do wish it was a 5th or 6th overall pick, anything but the top 4, but now we're going to have to return it to the Indiana Pacers for a second round pick. Staff signing, I do think we could keep Ty Lue as our head coach, but obviously if that does not work out, we could always fire him next offseason and get ourselves a new coach. Before I continue the offseason, I would really appreciate it if y'all could drop a thumbs up on this video and subscribe if you're new. My birthday's coming up at the end of this month and it would mean the world to me if y'all could help me hit 1,000 subscribers by then. And also hit that hype button. That's a new feature that came on this channel. It helps you to push my video to a larger audience. I'm not sure what we're going to do with Kawhi Leonard. Do we keep him and try to go for one more playoff push, or do we trade him this offseason and build younger around Darius Garland? That's something we're going to see here at free agency. First, I'm going to assess how much money we have to spend in free agency, and then we'll decide what we're going to be doing with Kawhi. For team player options, we're only going to pick up the team option on Jordan Miller and Kobe Sanders. We're going to let Brook Lopez, Chris Dunn, and Bogdanovic walk, but I may re-sign Chris Dunn in free agency for a little bit cheaper than $5.6 million. Qualifying offers, it looks like we do need to re-sign ourselves Bennedict Mathurin. I'm not sure how much money he's going to want, and it looks like he wants about $16 million. It does look like we have about $20 million here we could spend in free agency, and the most important position we need to fill right now is the center position. So I think I'm going to try and bring in Walker Kessler. He currently does have one offer, but that is a qualifying offer. He wants about $17 million, and you know what? We're going to go cheaper. We're going to go for Isaiah Hartenstein. That will save us some money. He wants about $9.7 million, so let's go ahead and offer him a 4-year deal, paying him about $10 million annually. He should hopefully accept that, plus Bennedict Mathurin is a restricted free agent, which means we will be able to re-sign him no matter what. So even after we pay Isaiah Hartenstein $10 million a year, we will have about $20 more million we could spend, and I think I'm going to try and go after Peyton Watson. He wants about $10 million. I'm going to go ahead and offer him a 4-year deal where we pay him about $14 million annually. And let's see if he accepts. I did also offer Chris Dunn a 2-year minimum contract, and it looks like Peyton Watson will be accepting on a 4-year $60 million contract, and we also get Isaiah Hartenstein on a 4-year $43 million contract. And it just said that Bennedict Mathurin is willing to accept an offer from a different team. He wants to sign a 3-year $50 million contract. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pay all 4 of these players. Let's see. It looks like, sadly, Peyton Watson is a player we were not able to pay. I never knew that we would have enough money for John Collins, but it says we're able to offer him up to $31 million. Of course, I'm not going to be giving him all that much money, but we will be re-signing him and then maybe trading him this off-season. I'm going to go ahead and pay him about $13 million for the next 4 seasons, and he should be accepting that, and yes, he does, on a 4-year $55 million contract. I have thrown Kawhi Leonard in Trade Finder, and there's some pretty unrealistic trades. Like, why would the Hornets trade away Con Kneppel and LaMelo? That makes absolutely no sense. The 2 trades that do make sense is this trade here with the Orlando Magic. Maybe the Magic want a player of Kawhi Leonard's caliber beside Paolo Banchero to try and go out there and compete for a championship. The second trade is with the Indiana Pacers. Halliburton's returning from his injury. Maybe they want to go for a playoff run, and they believe Kawhi will help them do just that. So I'm going to decide which trade we're going to pull off from these 2, and I'll show you guys once I come up with the decision. So I have decided that we're going to pull off this trade with the Magic, where we send them Kawhi Leonard for Franz Wagner and Anthony Black. Franz Wagner's 24 years old, so he fits our timeline perfectly. He will be the brand new starting small forward. We also get Anthony Black, who I'm going to move to be the starting shooting guard. Since he is a pretty good defender, him and Garland in the backcourt should be alright. Let's go ahead and pull off this trade. I would love to see if we could upgrade the power forward position, and I'm going to target Toumani Camara from the Trailblazers. He's a good 3-point shooter, amazing defender, so let's see what the Blazers say if we offer them John Collins and Chris Dunn. They do decline. Can we throw in one more player? It looks like we could throw in Kobe Sanders, but honestly I would like to keep him out if possible. Let's go ahead and throw in Cam Christie. It looks like he does not want to play on our team anyways, and just like that, we upgrade the power forward position, getting ourselves Toumani Camara. I did sign Malcolm Brogdon and Keon Ellis in free agency, and now I'm going to try and trade them away for Donte DiVincenzo. I do want ourselves a new backup point guard, and Donte DiVincenzo could be the perfect player, so I'm going to offer them Isaiah Jackson, Keon Ellis, and Malcolm Brogdon for Donte DiVincenzo. Maybe we could get a second round pick out of this, and it looks like the Timberwolves do go on to accept. And after the offseason, this is what the new Clippers roster will be looking like. So in the starting lineup, we have ourselves Darius Garland, Anthony Black, Franz Wagner, Toumani Camara, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And then off the bench, we have Benedict Mathurin, Donte DiVincenzo, Derrick Jones Jr., and Conan Niederhauser. Looking at this roster, we do have ourselves some pretty good players, but I'm not sure who the number one scoring option is going to be. Will it be Darius Garland or Franz Wagner? That's something we're going to have to keep an eye out for. Neither of these two have been a number one option on their teams in the past, so that's something they're going to have to adapt to. Let's go ahead and simulate the first few games of this season. The first game is up against Garland's previous team, the Cavaliers. We do go on to lose 115 to 131. Wagner had 27 and 10, Garland with 25. And the next game is up against Magic. That's pretty insane. All 3 games of the first week is up against Darius Garland and Wagner's previous teams. Can we at least get one win? It looks like we do end up defeating the Orlando Magic. Garland had 36, Wagner with 31, and Derrick Jones Jr. with 21 points in 20 minutes. Let's go. So we did beat Wagner's previous team. I would like to get at least one win up against Garland's former team. Let's see if we can make that happen, and yes, we can. We defeat the Cavaliers here 132 to 123. Wagner leading the way here with 43 points, 21 and 7 from Garland. We will be rolling with a 4-star overall system proficiency, balance under Ty Lue. I'm now going to start simulating here until the end of this season, but of course if there's any trades to be made, I will be stopping at the trade deadline to show you all. I did forget to mention I am using somebody's share scenario, and that's because 2K's start today has not been working. For some reason it is glitched out, and I was taking a look at the Golden State Warriors roster, and as you guys can see, everybody's face scan is normal. Up until you get to Brennan Pajemski, and bro has a WNBA player's face as Brennan Pajemski. This is insane, and not only that, same for Q Santos, another WNBA player. I thought I was tripping when I seen this, but this is crazy. Honestly, it is pretty funny, but it is what it is. And I believe that is the only player with the WNBA's. Whoa, Will Richard has Derrick Rose's face. So not only the WNBA player, we also see Derrick Rose's face for Will Richard. We are stopped here at the trade deadline, and honestly we're a really good team. We're currently the number 1 seed with 42 wins and 13 losses. I don't think making trades would be the smart move right now, so I am going to continue rolling with our roster and see how we do in the playoffs. There are a few players that do want to sign a contract extension, including Darius Garland, so I will be going ahead and extending Darius Garland for the next 3 seasons, where we pay him about $27 million annually. I do believe, yeah, so Donte DiVincenzo also wants a contract. He only wants a minimum, so let's go ahead and extend him. We'll do the same for Derrick Jones Jr., who also only wants a minimum. At the end of this season, Anthony Edwards goes on to win his first ever MVP, averaging 35 points per game. Cameron Boozer, Rookie of the Year. Isaiah Collier, 6-man, Wemby Defensive Player. Jenkins wins Most Improved. Luka Doncic, Clutch Player. Our head coach, Ty Lue, winning Coach of the Year, and we also win Executive. Let's see if we get ourselves any All-NBA selections, and it looks like we do land Franz Wagner on All-NBA 3rd team. Do we get anyone on an All-Defensive team? No, we do not, but that is alright because we ended this season as the number 1 seed, winning a total of 62 games and losing only 20. Halfway into the second half of the season, I did go to settings and make the difficulty a little harder because I did feel like we were winning games a little too easily, but now it should be a little bit more even. Let's go ahead and take a look at the player stats for the regular season. So our leading scorer was none other than Franz Wagner, doing a perfect job at the #1 scoring option, averaging 25 points per game. 22 from Darius Garland, 16 from Anthony Black, 16 from Bennedict Mathurin, 14 from Kamara, and a 12-point double-double from Hartenstein. We are now ready for the playoffs, and in the first round, we are taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. They have themselves Luka Doncic, Anthony Simons, Dalton Knecht, LeBron James, and Jock Landale. It looks like they no longer have Austin Reeves. They probably did not re-sign him or traded him away. It looks like they did not re-sign him. Let's see how things go here. Game number 1 will go to us. Franz Wagner with 42 points, 16 from Garland, 13 and 12 from Hartenstein. Game number 2, we do also go on to win in this game. Garland with 48 and 12. Let's go. 21 from Black and 20 from Wagner. We also go on to win game 3, and yes, we can. Franz Wagner with 26, 25 from Garland, and 25 from Hartenstein. All we gotta do now is win one more game, and then we'll have swept the Los Angeles Lakers, and it looks like we going to sweep the Lakers. Okay, not losing a single game. Wagner with 36, Garland with 31 and 14. Wait a second, who had a triple-double? So Isaiah Hartenstein with a 14-point triple-double. And now in the second round of the playoffs, we are taking on the Defensive Player of the Year, Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. They also have De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Vassell, Harris, Wemby, and then off the bench they have Dylan Harper and Champagnie. Let's see how things go here. Game number 1 will go to the Spurs. They defeat us here by 3 points. Garland with 33, 29 from Wagner, but sadly we do fall short. We do go on to win game 2 though. In this game, Wagner leading the way with 37 points. We also win game 3, and yes, we can. Wagner dropping 33, 23 from Kamara, and 22 from Black. Game number 4 does end up going to the Spurs. They defeat us here 137 to 125. Wagner played amazing, 46 points. And so far here in the playoffs, he's been playing phenomenal, averaging 33.5 points per game. Now let's see who's going to go on to win game 5 here. We will be jumping into Simcast, where our team has home court advantage. And so far, we did have the lead, but they take it from us and go on to win 125 to 121. Garland 30, 18 from Bennedict Mathurin. And now that does put us in a winner-go-home situation. We are down 3-2. Let's jump into Simcast. The Spurs will have home court advantage, and so far the Spurs do have the lead. It looks like we will be eliminated in the second round of the playoffs to the Spurs, losing 146 to 119. Wagner dropped 23 points and 21 from Kamara. That just means our team is going to need some more upgrades this offseason, because as of right now, we are still not championship contenders, but it is a huge improvement from last year being eliminated in the play-in tournament, now making it to the second round of the playoffs. So let's go ahead and simulate and see who goes on to win. It will be Wemby taking on the Detroit Pistons once again, the same as last year. Last year the Pistons won, and this year the Pistons win again. Cade Cunningham winning Finals MVP. Before we go into the offseason, let me show you guys the player stats for our team. So we played a total of 10 games here in the playoffs, and the leading scorer was Franz Wagner, averaging 31 points per game. 25 and 10 from Garland, 16 from Anthony Black, 12 from Bennedict Mathurin, 12 from Kamara. Anthony Black has been huge for us. He is going to be a free agent this free agency, so that's a player we're going to have to re-sign. I am going to attempt to bring in Peyton Watson, but I'm definitely not giving up Isaiah Hartenstein. What if we give up Bennedict Mathurin for Peyton Watson? Can we do a straight up swap, Bennedict Mathurin for Peyton Watson with the Denver Nuggets? They want Kamara for Gordon. That's definitely something we are not going to do, but what I will do is throw in a bunch of second round picks. 3 second round picks, they want a first round swap. You know what? Let's go ahead and pull off this trade. We do have the 30th overall pick, and we will have to select ourselves a rookie, because I was planning on packaging the 30th overall pick with Conan Niederhauser to see if we could upgrade the backup center position, but Niederhauser right now is on a team player option, and we're going to have to wait to pick up the team option, and then we could trade him away. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and draft the highest overall rookie, package the rookie and Niederhauser, and go upgrade that center position. It is now time for free agency, where we do have to re-sign ourselves Anthony Black, but thankfully he's a restricted free agent, plus we have bird rights, so we're going to be re-signing him no matter what. He wants about $18 million. How much money do we have here in free agency? It looks like we could spend about $14 million. But after we sign Anthony Black, I don't think we're going to have that $14 million, but that's alright because right now Anthony Black is our priority. So I'm going to go ahead and offer him a 4-year contract, paying him about $15 million annually. It looks like he will be accepting on a 4-year, $67 million contract. It does say we still have some money to spend in free agency, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to sign another player like Josh Hart with Anthony Black, but I am going to try anyways. He wants about $5.9 million. He does have an offer from the Phoenix Suns, 3-year, 17. Let's see if we could up that a little bit and he ends up joining our team. It looks like he does accept the contract, but that's only if we're able to pay both Anthony Black and Josh Hart. And it looks like we are able to sign both players. We are now talking with the New Orleans Pelicans, and I'm going to attempt to bring in Yves Missi to be our backup center. Per 36 minutes, he averages about 5 offensive rebounds per game. So I'm going to offer the Pelicans Niederhauser and Taj Ariza, who I drafted with the 30th overall pick. It looks like they do decline. What if we throw in somebody like Derrick Jones Jr.? We no longer need him on this team since we have Josh Hart. Can this get it done? And yes, it can. We land ourselves Yves Missi. We are ready for this season, and the CPU does want us to start Peyton Watson over Anthony Black, and honestly I was thinking the same thing because we did try Anthony Black in the starting lineup, but last year it did not work. So the new starting lineup will be Darius Garland, Peyton Watson, Franz Wagner, Toumani Camara, and Isaiah Hartenstein, and then off the bench we have Anthony Black, Josh Hart, Yves Missi, and Dante DiVincenzo. Let's go ahead and simulate the first few games with this new roster and see how things go. The first game is up against Memphis Grizzlies, who we go on to defeat 149-94. Let's go. Garland with a 35-point double-double, 25 from Wagner, and 16 from Anthony Black. And we also go on to defeat the OKC Thunder. We do end up losing here by 1 single point, but Wagner played phenomenal, dropping 42 points. The Orlando Magic are next, and we also go on to defeat them 137-97, outscoring them by 40 points. Garland dropping 30 and 25 from Wagner. This season, we will be rolling with a 4.5-star overall system proficiency balanced under Ty Lue. That is pretty insane. We almost have a 5-star overall system proficiency. Now I'm going to start simulating here until the end of this season, but of course if there are any trades, I will stop at the trade deadline or before the trade deadline to show you all. At the end of this season, Victor Wembanyama goes on to win an MVP, Oliver wins Rookie of the Year, Tyler Hero 6-Man, Wemby also winning Defensive Player, Caleb Wilson Most Improved, Cade Cunningham wins Clutch Player, Jason Kidd Coach of the Year, and we go on to win Executive. Let's see if we get ourselves any All-NBA selections, and it looks like we do not get ourselves any All-NBA selections this time, which is kind of a shocker because our players played really amazing. Do we get anyone on an All-Defensive team? And no, we do not. But that's alright because we ended this season as the number 1 seed, winning a total of 61 games and losing only 21. Last season we won 62, this season 61, but this season 61 wins is more impressive because I did turn up the difficulty higher than what it was last season, so us winning 61 games is amazing. And now before we start simulating the playoffs, let's go ahead and take a look at the player stats. So our leading scorer was Franz Wagner, averaging 26, 5, and 5. 22 and 9 from Darius Garland, 16 from Black, 16 from Watson, 13 from Camara, and 11 from Isaiah Hartenstein. Alright, so in the first round of the playoffs, we will be taking on the Utah Jazz, and they have themselves Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Jaren Jackson Jr., Walker Kessler, and they also have Sabonis coming off of their bench unit. They do have a pretty stacked team, but they were the number 8 seed. Let's see how things go. Game number 1 does end up going to us, and Garland dropping 59 points. Holy, 59 points with 18 assists. 28 from Wagner, 21 from Hartenstein. Game number 2 does also end up going to us, and Garland is on one. He just dropped 42 points, 11 assists after dropping a 50 bomb. 25 from Watson and 20 from Wagner. Game number 3, we do end up losing here, 132-125. But Garland is still playing phenomenal. And it looks like the Utah Jazz do go on to top the series, defeating us here in Game 4, 121-119. And now the series will be tied at 2-2 apiece. Let's jump into Simcast and see if we could win game 5. We do have home court advantage on our side, and so far we do start off the first quarter really strong, and it looks like we will be winning 135 to 114. Wagner dropping 32, 27 from Garland, and 22 from Anthony Black. Let's see if we could also win this next game where the Utah Jazz will have home court advantage. And so far we do have the lead, and it looks like we will be winning 133 to 111. Wagner dropping 40 points, 24 and 12 from Garland. And now in the second round of the playoffs, we are either going to have to take on the Houston Rockets or the Timberwolves. I would much rather take on the Houston Rockets, but let's see what happens, and of course, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have themselves TJ McConnell, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Naz Reid, as well as Rudy Gobert as their sixth man. Let's see how things go here. Game number 1, we do end up winning. Let's go. Wagner dropping a 27-point double-double. 23 from our boy Garland, and 15 from Kamara. Game number 2 does also end up going with us. 30 from Garland, 25 from Wagner, and 23 from Anthony Black. We also go on to win game 3, and yes, we can. Wagner with 26 and 14, 23 and 10 from Garland. All we gotta do now is win one more game, and then we're going to the Western Conference Finals, and we do not go on to sweep the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it looks like we do gentlemen sweep them here in game 5. Garland had 22 and 13, 21 from Watson, and 21 from Black. It looks like in the Western Conference Finals, we are taking on the Dallas Mavericks, but first I want to see how Garland's playing, and he's averaging a 30-point double-double here in the playoffs. Wagner is averaging 26 points per game. The Dallas Mavericks do have themselves Kyrie Irving, Joe, Cooper Flagg, Cameron Boozer, and Jalen Williams. And this is their bench unit. They do have a pretty good team, I'm not gonna lie. They were the number 2 seed right behind us, winning the same amount of games as we did. Let's see what happens here in game number 1. Looks like the Mavericks going to win 142 to 127. What I am going to do is come up with a defensive coach game plan. I would want Peyton Watson guarding Kyrie Irving, so let me fix up some defensive game plans. We have now come up with the defensive coach game plan. Will that help us win these next few games? Let's see. I will be jumping into Simcast, and we do have home court advantage for game 2, and so far we do have the lead. They take it right back from us, but we go on to win 134 to 131. Wagner with 34, 27 and 14 from Garland. We also go on to win game 3. The Mavericks will have home court advantage. And so far it's a back and forth battle, and it looks like we do go on to lose 126 to 118. Wagner with 28 and 26 from Garland. I did change some shot tendencies for our players. Depending on who's playing good, I hired their shot tendencies, and it looks like in the Eastern Conference Finals we have the Detroit Pistons taking on the Indiana Pacers. Let's jump into Simcast and see if we could tap this series. The Mavericks do have home court advantage, but so far we have the lead by quite a bit, and it looks like we go on to win 138 to 107. Wagner dropping 40, 21 from Garland, and 17-point double-double from Hartenstein. And now the series is back tied at 2-2 apiece. Hopefully we're able to win this next game where we do have a home court advantage. We do start off with the lead, but they take it right back from us. Back and forth battle, we're up by 9. And it looks like we will be winning 143 to 134. Let's go. Garland dropping 43 and 28 from Wagner. It looks like the Pacers defeated the defending NBA champions, the Detroit Pistons, who won a back-to-back championship for the last 2 years. But now we got to win one more game to go to the NBA Finals. The Mavericks will have home court advantage, and we do have the lead. It looks like we are going to the NBA Finals, 134 to 95. Wagner with 33, 24 and 11 from iHeart, and 23 from Kamara. Darius Garland does go on to win Western Conference Finals MVP, averaging 26 points per game on 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. Tyrese Haliburton, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and now we're taking on the Indiana Pacers here in the NBA Finals. They have themselves Tyrese Haliburton, Darren Peterson, Jarris Walker, Pascal Siakam, and Avia Zubac. We do have Andrew Nembhard and Obi Toppin off of their bench. Alrighty, it is now time to see if we can defeat the Indiana Pacers. Game number 1 will end up going to us. Garland with 31, 22 from Watson, and 19 from Wagner. Our defense was amazing. We held them to 91 points. Game number 2 does also end up going to us, and we hold them to 91 points once again, dropping 117 ourselves. 23 and 10 from Garland, 20 from Anthony Black. Game number 3, we end up winning and once again holding them to below 100 points. Okay, our defense has been phenomenal. 23 from Isaiah Hartenstein, 18 from Garland. Are we going to go on to sweep the Indiana Pacers? And yes, we do, to go on to win the Los Angeles Lakers a championship. Let's go. Franz Wagner winning Finals MVP. He was only averaging 17 points per game, but let's go. He goes on to win Finals MVP. And before I end out this video, let me show you guys the player stats for the playoffs. So we played a total of 21 games, and in those 21 games, the leading scorer was Darius Garland, averaging 27.5 points per game with almost 10 assists. 26, 5, and 5 from Franz Wagner, 16 from Watson, 13 from Kamara, 13 and 10 from Isaiah Hartenstein. We did have a lot of players in double-digit scoring. And then in the NBA Finals, we played a total of 4 games. The leading scorer was Darius Garland, averaging 22 points per game with 9 assists. 17 from Wagner, 17 from Anthony Black, and 16-point double-double from Isaiah Hartenstein. And now that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new for more NBA 2K26 rebuilds. Click here on the screen to watch my latest upload. Until next time, it's your boy Dragon, and I'm out. Peace.